are going to go over the Arcanist healing class. This one is going to be really fun. I have kind of a basic understanding of all of the buffs that they'll provide as a healer. If you don't have an Arcanist tank in group, you can also provide some buffs from their tree as well. From their skill line. Alright, so first off, we're going to go into ideal champion points for the Arcanist. Fighting finesse is decent, however you already get 12% critical healing done on this class. So I highly suggest doing a Soothing Tide, a Swift Renewal, Rejuvenator, and Enlivening Overflow if your other healer doesn't have it, if you're doing a solo heal type build. One of the things that I noticed about this class is some of the skills on the class can make it very expensive, so you need to make sure that you are casting Crux properly. Some abilities in the class cast a Crux. The Crux looks something like this. So, see those triangles swirling around my body? Not the discs, but the triangles. Those are your Crux, and you spend them using this ability. So, spending these Crux with this ability causes the ability to cost less. And the reason that's important is because it costs every 0.3 seconds. Doesn't seem like a lot on the tooltip, but it's 655 magicka every 0.3 seconds. Now, without the Crux, go ahead and look at how my magic dips. And that's with Ghastly Eyeball. So let's try it with a general, healing by stat, right? Let's try it with by stat. That's gonna take us down quite a lot. So let's go ahead and get our Crux. And let's spend it. Alright. It is not as much. That's kind of nice. That's actually very nice. So, this is the bar setup I would say you would do on a Arcanist healer. Let's go into skills. We're going to have our Curative Surge, which is 77,000 health over 4.5 seconds. This is going to replace Tombs for Tomb Healing. It's going to be so overpowered, you could potentially have 2 people in Tomb depending on how close the tombs are. What I would cast, let's say I'm doing Tombs in VSS, I would cast this. I'd cast the shield on them. Okay, and I'd spend it. I would cast a Black Rose Perfected Shield, possibly, depending on if we need it. I want to try it out without it. So I can kind of get back to you guys on that when I do a VSS hard mode with this setup. With this class, you want to make sure that you're offering proper buffs. So, this buff here is going to be excellent. You can technically replace Claw of Yulnarkin tank set with this buff. It gives minor courage, minor fortitude, minor intellect, minor endurance, increasing weapon and spell damage by 250%, and your health and magic and stamina recovery by 15%. Holy shit. And 32,000 health over 20 seconds. That's almost as much as Springs. I mean, that's ridiculous. This is amazing. You can take Yulnarkin off of tanks with this. And you could put on Crimson and put an Alkosh DPS in Reliquin or Pillar or whatever, or a light if you're going with a light comp. With this class, however, there are pen passives up to 1,000 almost penetration just as the class in general operates. So we could possibly see pen cap with medium armor on without having Alkosh. We're not sure. So you get your Cruxes. And it reduces the cost of your ability, right? Of all your abilities. Healing done by 3% for each active Crux. That's amazing. So basically in your rotation, you're going to kind of weave your Crux, right? You're going to... Here's your Brittle. You may not even use the Crux. You can just have them sit there, okay? you may not even need to use them with this skill, right? So this skill is like a desperation skill. Let's say you're solo healing Thalgraven, which I could see happening on this class, because this ability is like having a combat prayer every 0.3 seconds. It is broken. So you want to definitely make sure you have your Crux active. You know, you won't even need to have Bastion, or not Bastion, let's go here. You won't even really need to have From the Brink, but the issue is that you could technically stack From the Brink with the shield. It just depends on the content you're in, really. Like Teleria hard mode, last boss, I'd say use it. Fallgraven, use it. Definitely Boss A and Zelvaka, you can use it. Probably for the harder content. I haven't been to Sanity's Edge yet, so I haven't seen it there. But it's so overpowered. Honestly, I'm very excited. But obviously, you have to be in combat to generate your Crux. So you have to make sure you use it kind of like every 2 abilities, almost like Blast Bones, I would say. So just kind of remember that. It is going to be an interesting weave. But once it's up, you're done. Once it's up, it stays up. And so that's kind of nice. Let's go into the ultimate ability. I would suggest using this even over Warhorn. I would suggest pairing it with Warhorn. So that way when you drop ultimates on something, you're getting your weapon and spell damage, healing you and your allies around this area for 6,465 health in proportion to its health. I chose the morph of the glyph that you heal, but there is another morph for the glyph that's damaged. I chose this one because I'm on a healer. I'm not going to produce a lot of damage, so I'm more confident in healing setups. However, you can use the other glyph. It will still give the weapon and spell damage. It just depends on your group comp. This skill here is your minor brittle. So you can apply it and it stays up at all times. It increases the damage that they take, and it is just too overpowered. It's too overpowered. Minor Vuln and Minor Brittle. So it's basically Bugs from the Warden meets a passive we've never seen before with Minor Brittle. Another thing I also think is kind of a must on a healer is what I have here. It is called Rune Guard of Still Waters. Cast forth a complex rune, granting you and your group members minor resolve, like combat. Okay. Spell Weave. It immobilizes enemies within 7 meters for 3 seconds. You got to be careful when you cast it. It gives minor protection to you for reducing your damage taken by 5%. You don't even need to have the Fighters Guild rune on this class when you have that. And when you're damaged below 50% health, it heals you for 10,000 health. So I highly suggest this ability. It's overpowered. It's fun. It's different. If you want to slot, you know, altar, you can. You don't technically need this, but it's amazing. You do absolutely need, however, this skill. Rune of Colorless. Cool. Absolutely. 100%. So yeah, I like that this class makes other things available. You don't have to be on a Warden. If you don't want to run this beam and you don't want to spend your Crux, which I totally get, I highly suggest this right here. Evolving Runement. So I would put this on a tank. This is kind of like the Warden's Vines, it reminds me of, but it's way more powerful. Your Crux will reduce the cost of all of your abilities, so let's look. 4,177 magic. I have 1 Crux available. Let me spend it real quick so I can see what it really looks like. 4,177. Okay, not too much. Not at all, actually. So, let's just get my Crux going. 3,764, not bad. Now, this is an amazing heal. Look at that, 22,000 right off the rip. 11,000, 11,000, 22. I mean, yeah. It's just, this one right here, I would definitely say you're gonna put that on your tank. or someone taking extra damage, like perhaps in boss hard mode, I would put this on off tank with bleed. I'd put it on main tank with curse, which means that you could stand to get rid of. I honestly think that that they should get rid of the warden healer and make the warden tank. Put a DK and stagger, and do a Arcanist and Crow comp. I think that the Arcanist, couple Crows and DKs in your comp would be overpowered, or Templars. They're looking really good this patch. Okay, so let's go over my gear and inventory. So I have all weapon and spell damage on my gear because this class has passives for reduction in their cost. However, some of their abilities do cost a lot, especially if your Crux aren't active. So you want to kind of make sure those are active and then not spend them if you're not really wanting to have insane cost on all your skills. Also, you get increased healing done when they're active, so you definitely want to keep these up, these little swirly guys around me. So yeah, I mean, there are some DPS abilities that you could consider to generate Crux. You can use escalating rune blades, but the problem with that is, as a healer, you may not have really time. It's like a necro weaving blast bones, and I would rather weave a healing ability or a shield than a damaging ability, especially if you're solo healing something. So this is going to be on the DPS, so you don't really need this. However, if you did not have an Arcanist in group, you could use this. It increases 5% damage to who you're attacking. This here, the recuperative treaties, you could use this. The only thing I don't like about it is that it's a massive skill to take. However, you can choose the morph that gives you resources back. This is kind of like a Templar's rune, if you will. It does not increase your healing, however, but it is quite nice for this passive right here. It gives you weapon and spell damage at all times. And then it also restores 600 magic and stamina. And it generates a Crux. So you technically wouldn't even need to generate a Crux with the shield. So let's kind of go over how this would look. Let me put back. I do kind of like that, but not entirely. Let's just put Blood Altar here, which is also a very, very good setup to use. This could be also an alternative setup to the other one I showed you. So let's try to spend our crooks real quick. Let's see how many crooks that this creates. Okay, crux is spent. So I want to see how many crux this will generate. Where are my crux, bitch? Sorry. Interesting. I wonder if it's only gonna work if I use DPS abilities. See, that's the thing about this whole thing. Is I'm wondering if the crux are per type. So none of these are gonna use it, yeah. Alright, and let's use it with our ultimate. Kind of getting an idea of it in action. Even with fully active Crux, if you're not in recovery food, your shit's gonna be expensive. That's the only thing I don't like. I mean, you could go Breton on this class, but honestly, High Elf is better performance than Breton. High Elf is way better performance. Yes, the Bretons are survivable, and yes, they cost less, but High Elf is going to have bigger heals, and more utility, and light attack damage, and group comp. You could even be Dark Elf, but there's no stand resources for that, or mag, really. I mean, yeah, you have max, but that doesn't really do much. So, I like the class. I love this setup. I love healing on it. I love, you know, all the passives that they provide. They are expensive. So definitely want to have enlivening active in this for this class to thrive in a raid environment. I would also put this class in Nazare, and I would put the other healer, like the Rojo healer, in Symphony or Ozazan. You could do either. But anyway, I hope that you enjoyed this very brief beginner's guide on how it kind of works, what the skills look like, kind of what you're going to expect. Again, here's why I chose these things. We have Brittle. We have Claw Vulnarkin passives on this ability that I just threw down. And in here, we have increases the damage and reduces the damage that the boss does and that you take. I believe, let's make sure. Reducing your damage taken and healing you. So this doesn't increase the damage that the boss takes, however, this does. Rune of the colorless pool. I love this. This thing is so fun. Alright, so anyway, that's kind of what I've come up with so far, and I genuinely hope this helps you guys, especially being on console. This stuff isn't available to you yet, and it's kind of, I don't know, it's kind of hard. It's gonna definitely be a learning curve for some healers. It's definitely gonna carry other healers in ways that maybe you weren't able to get through content before, if you use that big beam. I love the beam heal. It's great for hard modes, for solo healing, especially in instances where it's an oh shit moment, or even, hey, we're not gonna roll dodge for this mechanic anymore. We're gonna stand here and take the damage because we can now, because we have enough heal. Or in Fallgraven, you know, we're gonna have one healer and an off healer with a tank because we want to make sure that our DPS is really high. We can hit some records because the heal on it's so overpowered, it will counterbalance the heal ticks that are lacking in a solo healer. So I'm very excited to kind of delve into this class with you guys, and if you have any questions, leave them below. I will make more videos based on any interest. If not, then hopefully this kind of sated your curiosity in ways that maybe you hadn't yet. So anyway, take care, and I hope you guys have a great day.